Why do so many older adults begin to fade after 80, even if they were strong, sharp, and independent just a few years before? It's not always a disease. It's not always age. Sometimes the quietest reasons are the most powerful ones, and they go unnoticed until it's too late. In this video, we'll uncover 5 subtle but deeply impactful truths that explain why many seniors die sooner than they should, and how small, meaningful changes can help reverse that trajectory. These aren't loud emergencies. They're soft warnings, the kind you feel in your body before you can name them, the kind that whisper, not scream. If you've ever felt like your world is slowly shrinking, like your purpose has dimmed or your days have lost shape, you're not alone. And it's not your fault, but it is something you can change. Stay with me, because each insight we share today can help bring back structure, vitality, and connection to your life or the life of someone you love. If this message resonates with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with a simple "I'm here," so we know we're walking this journey together. Let's begin. 1. They become invisible. It doesn't happen all at once. It begins quietly. A few missed conversations, fewer familiar faces. Then one day, without warning, the world no longer seems to look back when you step outside your door. And though nothing tragic has happened, something inside you starts to slow down. This is how many older adults begin to fade, not because of a medical crisis, but because they've become slowly, silently invisible. I remember a man named Mr. Delaney, a retired teacher in our neighborhood. He was 83, soft-spoken, gentle, and always had a story tucked behind his smile. For years, he walked each morning to the bakery down the street, said good morning to the owner, asked about her daughter, waved at 2 boys who waited for the school bus outside the laundromat. Those were small moments, but they gave his day shape. They gave his mind rhythm. He said it was like opening the windows in the morning to let the air move. Then one winter, after a mild fall, the sidewalks iced over. His niece insisted he order groceries online instead. The bakery closed. The boys stopped waiting outside. Mr. Delaney didn't say much, but over the next few months we noticed he spoke less. He stopped joining the community potlucks. When we called, he said he was fine, just tired. 6 months later, he was gone. No major illness, just a gradual withdrawal that became permanent. What happened to Mr. Delaney is not rare. When seniors stop engaging with the world in small ways, a wave to a neighbor, a casual comment to the cashier, the brain starts receiving a different message. It's not just boredom, it's not even just loneliness, it's a shift in biology. These micro-interactions, though they seem minor, regulate emotional hormones, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the brain's social circuits. They activate memory. They keep cognitive function agile. And when they're gone, the brain starts pruning itself down. The body interprets the lack of engagement as a lack of need and begins to retreat. This is especially dangerous because it often goes unnoticed. Family might think the elder is simply slowing down or enjoying more peace, but underneath the surface, what's happening is a dangerous form of social starvation. The nervous system is wired to connect, and when that connection disappears, even subtly, the cost is real. Increased risk of dementia, higher inflammation markers, reduced immunity, and shortened lifespan. And for older adults already struggling with energy or mobility, the effects accelerate even faster. But there is a way to reverse it, and it doesn't require dramatic changes. It starts by reclaiming the tiny, forgettable moments. Walking to the mailbox and waving at the neighbor across the street. Sitting on the porch and exchanging a hello with the mail carrier. Choosing to pay for groceries in person once a week, just to make eye contact and say thank you. These are more than niceties. They are anchors. They tell the brain and the body, you are still here and the world still sees you. Even for those who are homebound, there are gentle solutions. Calling a friend every morning, joining a local senior phone circle, or speaking with caregivers, and even briefly, with intention. Listening to the radio at a regular time, responding to uplifting letters, or even sitting by a window where people pass by. The key isn't the size of the interaction, but the regularity. The predictability tells the body that life is still moving around you, and with you. Fixing this isn't about becoming more social in the traditional sense. It's about restoring presence in a world that easily forgets those who move a little slower. It's about choosing to be seen, even if only in small ways, so your body continues to believe it matters. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you re-engage just a little, you'll often find that the world responds warmly, gently, as if it was waiting for you all along. 2. They choose safety. It often begins with something small, a stumble while stepping off the curb, a dizzy spell while bending down, a cold gust of wind that feels a little too strong this time. And so the body tenses. The mind becomes cautious. The phrase, "I better not risk it," begins to echo louder than the desire to keep going. Over time, the safest option becomes stillness. But what few realize is that stillness, while comforting in the moment, can quietly dismantle the very strength that once protected you. There was a man named Harold, 82 years old, tall but slightly hunched, once a carpenter, always independent. One morning, he nearly lost his balance stepping into his shower. No injury, just a scare. But it changed everything. He stopped taking his morning walks around the block. He began asking his son to bring groceries instead of going himself. He avoided bending, climbing, and reaching. "I'm just being careful," he said. Yet within a few months, the strength in his legs softened. His back ached more. The stairs he once climbed with ease now seemed like a mountain. His doctor called it deconditioning, but Harold just said he felt older than last year. Truth was, his muscles hadn't failed him. His caution had. The body isn't a machine that rests to preserve itself. It's a living system that weakens without use. Muscles need resistance to stay awake. Joints need movement to stay oiled. The inner systems of balance and coordination depend on daily challenge, not danger but motion, especially the deep core muscles, the kind you don't see in the mirror but use every time you stand, shift your weight, or walk without thinking. When those muscles are ignored, even for a short while, they shrink. And when they shrink, the fear of falling increases, which leads to less movement, and so the downward spiral begins. The tragedy is that it's often encouraged by well-meaning voices. Don't strain yourself. Just take it easy. You've earned the right to rest. And while rest is important, it should never be confused with retreat. Because once the body forgets how to move, it forgets how to recover. But the good news is that this process is not only reversible, it can improve faster than most people expect. Harold eventually joined a balance and strength class at his local senior center. It was slow at first. Chair exercises, gentle breathing, light resistance bands. But something shifted, not just in his body, but in his spirit. He began walking, to the mailbox again, then to the bakery on the corner. He started stretching in the mornings, holding the kitchen counter. After 6 weeks, he could rise from his chair without pushing off with his hands. He said it felt like his legs were remembering him. Fixing this doesn't mean ignoring your fears. It means redefining safety. True safety isn't just about avoiding risk. It's about staying ready. Ready to catch yourself. Ready to keep going. Ready to move through life, not just survive it. Start with what you can, 10 minutes of walking in the living room. Gentle leg lifts while holding the back of a chair. Practicing getting up and down from the couch once a day. These movements are not exercise routines. They are quiet declarations that your body is still part of the world, that you're not disappearing but returning to yourself. Because the greatest danger after 80 is not falling, it's forgetting that you can still rise, and every step, however small, is a way to tell your body, "I'm still here, and I still choose to move." 3. Their body clock breaks. There's something most people don't realize about aging. The body doesn't just get tired, it gets out of sync. You might think you're just sleeping more during the day or waking up too early, but underneath those patterns is something deeper, a broken rhythm. This inner rhythm, called the circadian clock, quietly controls everything from how your immune system works to how your brain repairs itself at night. And after 80, it becomes more fragile than ever. What once adjusted easily to the seasons, the weather, or a late bedtime now begins to misfire with even the smallest disruptions. Take the case of Dorothy, an 86-year-old widow who lived alone in a small brick house near the edge of town. After her husband passed, her days became quieter. She stopped going out in the mornings and spent most of her time indoors with the blinds half closed. At night, she would fall asleep in front of the TV, waking at odd hours, and then lying awake until dawn. Over time, she became confused in the afternoons, sometimes forgetting names or misplacing things she'd just used. Her daughter thought it might be early signs of dementia, but the doctor found nothing alarming. No new illness, no medication side effects, just a worn-out sleep cycle and a lack of light. The fix wasn't a pill, it was light. Dorothy's body had stopped receiving the signals it needed to function properly. The bright morning sun that used to pour through her kitchen window had been replaced by filtered shade. The walk she used to take after breakfast had vanished, and the artificial glow of her television at night blurred the line between day and evening. Without enough daylight to anchor her mornings, and without darkness to end her evenings, Dorothy's body lost its natural cues. The result was poor sleep, low energy, and increasing confusion, all symptoms that mimic decline, but are, in fact, often reversible. Light is not just something we see, it's something the body listens to. Morning light tells the brain to wake up, produce energy, and regulate mood. Darkness triggers melatonin, which invites deep, healing rest. When those cues are off, everything shifts: metabolism, memory, and emotional stability. This is why disrupted circadian rhythms in seniors are linked to increased inflammation, higher fall risk, and even earlier mortality. But the solution is surprisingly simple. After her checkup, Dorothy was given one piece of advice: open her blinds wide every morning and sit near the window for 20 minutes. No phone, no TV, just natural light. Her daughter also replaced the overhead bulbs in the living room with warm, low-lumen lights and set a timer to dim them after 7 p.m. And within 2 weeks, Dorothy felt a change. Her sleep became more consistent. Her mood lifted. She remembered to call her granddaughter again, without a reminder. What helped Dorothy is something anyone can do. Begin each day with natural light. Sit outside or near a bright window within the first hour of waking. Step onto the porch if you can. Let your eyes and your skin sense the world waking up. And in the evening, wind things down gently. Turn off screens at least 1 hour before bed. Use lamps instead of overhead lights. Make the house feel like it's getting ready for rest. These small rituals may seem insignificant, but they quietly reset your internal systems. They bring order back to a body that's drifting. Because healing doesn't only happen through medicine or food, it happens through rhythm. And when your body remembers the beat of life, day and night, light and dark, it finds its strength again. Even in your 80s, even after a loss, even when the world feels too quiet, your cells still respond to the sun, and sometimes all you need to feel alive again is to let the morning in. If you'll try morning light tomorrow, just comment light at 8 a.m. for they swallow grief. Sometimes what shortens life isn't illness or injury, it's silence, not the kind that fills a room, but the kind that settles in the chest, unspoken, heavy, and unresolved. After 80, most people carry a long history of loss, a partner, a sibling, a lifelong friend, but over time they're told, gently or firmly, that they should be used to it by now. That sadness should fade, that they should move on. And so many do what they think they must. They press it down, smile politely, and carry on as if nothing is broken. But the body remembers what the mind tries to bury, and grief that is never released eventually begins to shut the system down, not loudly but slowly from the inside out. Edith was 87 when her daughter noticed something had shifted. She wasn't ill. She still dressed herself, still ate her meals, but something had dulled in her eyes. She no longer played the piano in the afternoons like she used to. She stopped writing her Sunday letters to the church friends she'd kept in touch with for decades. She began sleeping more, speaking less, and shrugging when asked if she wanted to go out. Her doctor could find no new condition, but her heart rate was slower, her energy faded, and her weight dropped steadily. What no one had talked about was the death of her sister, her best friend, who had passed away 8 months before. Edith had never spoken of it beyond the funeral. "We had a good run," she'd said, and left it at that. But when a visiting nurse finally sat with her and gently asked what she missed most, the words came like a quiet flood. Memories, regrets, laughter, loneliness. She cried for the first time in almost a year. Not for pity, not to fall apart, but because her heart had been holding too much for too long. Unprocessed grief changes the body. It disrupts sleep cycles, causes appetite loss, suppresses the immune system, and increases inflammation. It affects the autonomic nervous system, keeping the body in a constant low-grade stress response. Over time, this stress wears on every system, from digestion to memory to hormonal balance. But because the symptoms are slow and subtle, they're often mistaken for normal aging. In truth, they're the body's silent protest against emotions left unattended. And unlike a broken bone or a wound, this kind of pain doesn't show up in scans. It shows up in the dimming of the eyes, the shrinking of routine, the soft retreat from things once loved. The fix is not loud. It's not forced, but it is vital. Creating space for grief, even in old age, is not a luxury. It is medicine. That space can be as simple as journaling a few memories each week, speaking aloud the name of a loved one who's gone, sitting quietly with a trusted friend and saying, "I miss them," joining a grief support group and even virtually, where others understand the weight of quiet sorrow. Prayer, if faith is part of your life, can also offer deep healing. Not necessarily answers, but release, because what gets expressed can soften, what gets buried hardens, and the longer it stays inside, the more the body carries it as if it's still happening. After Edith began speaking about her sister, even just 5 minutes each morning in her journal, her appetite returned. She played the piano again, softly at first. She asked her daughter to bring her back to church. Her blood pressure stabilized. Her shoulders, once curled inward, began to open just slightly. It didn't erase her grief. It simply gave it air. And in doing so, she gave her breath too. Aging is not just physical, it's emotional. And the heart, even late in life, needs to feel, or it forgets how to live. If you're carrying a loss you haven't named in years, maybe it's time. Not for anyone else's sake, but for your own healing. Because staying alive isn't just about having a beating heart. It's about letting that heart feel again, fully and without shame. 5, they lose purpose. It's easy to assume that after a certain age, the urgency to do things fades away, that life becomes a long stretch of deserved rest. But the truth is, the human spirit doesn't retire. It still seeks meaning, not necessarily in grand achievements, but in the small grounding rituals of everyday life. When those disappear, the body doesn't just slow down, it begins to shut down. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gently and persistently, as if asking, "What am I waking up for?" James was 89 and had lived a full, independent life. A former postmaster, he was known for his tidy routines, from sweeping his porch at sunrise to writing letters by hand every Thursday. But after a minor fall, followed by his favorite nephew moving across the country, his days began to unravel. He stopped tending his front garden. He let the dust settle on his desk. He said the mail didn't matter anymore. There was no one left to write to. He wasn't sick, but he started sleeping longer, skipping meals, and losing weight. His doctor found no cause. His vitals were fine. Yet James told his neighbor in a rare moment of honesty, "I think I'm just winding down." But it wasn't his body that was failing. It was his sense of mattering. When older adults lose daily purpose, the physiological impact is very real. Hormone levels shift, motivation drops, sleep becomes fragmented, cognitive sharpness dulls, and appetite fades. The body, incredibly responsive to emotional signals, interprets purposelessness as irrelevance and begins to conserve energy the way it might during grief or trauma. In short, the systems powering vitality start to go quiet. This is often mistaken for normal aging, but in many cases it's simply a life that has lost its structure. Not from laziness, but from a lack of invitation to participate in something that feels useful. James eventually turned a corner in a way no one expected. A local elementary school was running a program where older adults were paired with struggling readers. They called it reading companions. His daughter signed him up. At first he hesitated. "I'm not good with kids," he said. But on his first visit, a quiet boy named Caleb sat beside him, book in hand. James corrected his pronunciation gently, praised his effort. And before they finished the second page, he was smiling, and both of them were. James returned the next week and the next. Within a month, he began waking early again, ironing his shirt like he used to, and eating full breakfasts. He pulled the cover off his typewriter and began typing short stories about his time in the due post office. He gained back 6 pounds. His spark returned, not because he was needed in a grand way, but because he was needed in some way. Purpose after 80 doesn't need to be tied to work or legacy. It can be small. Watering a plant at the same time each day, preparing a favorite meal for someone, feeding a bird that visits the balcony, write a kind note to someone who might need it, even noticing how the light changes on the wall each morning and appreciating it. These aren't chores, they're rhythms, and rhythm is what the body responds to most. Structure gives your days meaning, and meaning tells your cells to keep going. If you've felt adrift lately, as if the days have started blending together, it's not because you're too old to care. It's because your life is asking for a shape again. You don't need to make grand plans. You only need to choose one thing, is small but real, that gives your day texture. Because when the heart believes it still has a reason to rise, the body will almost always follow. Not because it's young again, but because it's reminded you still matter. If you're choosing one small purpose today, type "still needed" below. Growing older doesn't mean fading, yet many seniors die sooner than they should, not from disease, but from disconnection, stillness, disrupted sleep, unspoken grief, and the quiet loss of purpose. These forces work slowly, silently, and often go unnoticed. But the good news is, each one can be reversed with simple daily habits: a short walk, morning sunlight, a heartfelt conversation, a reason to rise. If you've recognized any of these signs in yourself or someone you love, don't wait. Take one small step today. Because even a gentle change in rhythm can restore energy, clarity, and emotional strength far beyond what most expect after 80. We'd love to hear your story. What part of this video spoke to you most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Someone out there needs this reminder just as much as you did, maybe even more.